Oh, dead. Honey, can I borrow your phone for a sec? Sure. Here we go. What is your passcode? Uh, Let me help you with that. There. So you don't want to share your passcode with me. What's up with that? That's my phone. What are you talking about? Well, in my family, everybody knows everybody's phone passcode. We can have access to everything. What are you hiding from me? Don't you think we're close enough? We're living together now. Just because we live together doesn't mean we can't have our own device and our own private information. There's so much information on my phone. Even when we're married, I don't want to share everything with you. There should be a limit. I can't believe you believe that way. In my culture, when you are married, you share everything. One partner believes that sharing everything is loving. The other partner believes sharing can be limited even when you are intimate and close and committed. Welcome back to the Happiness Game for Romantic Relationship podcast. I'm your host, Ijao Martins. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California, and my specialty is somatic couples therapy. So today, 3 things. Our topic is sharing your passcode or passkey with someone. It could be the passcode to your electronic devices, your social media account, anything that holds a lot of information for you as a person in this society. We start from the perspective of different culture. As you see in our role play, apparently those 2 partners come from different culture, different family culture when it comes to sharing passkeys to your electronic devices. Second, we'll look at it from the perspective of a neural science and nervous system and how too little or too much information sometimes can increase people's anxiety and creates a lot of stress in our nervous system. The third one is we look at it from a systems perspective, where you can define each person's role and their goal of sharing and in what context they are sharing, so we can define how open our boundary is to sharing information, for how long, to what extent. In the end, I will guide you through a standalone meditation, also with some tips and tools for you to navigate the conversation, how to use our role, goal, and context tools to negotiate when you're having a moment that you need to share certain private information on our electronic devices. Let's begin, shall we? So as you can see, what I demonstrated at the beginning of this podcast in the role play, this partner comes from a culture which could be more communal. Sharing information, personal information is a default. That's where I'm coming from. I'm from Beijing, China, where my parents actually, they share their phone passcode. My mother has access to my father's phone passcode, so she can open my father's phone to use it to pay. In China, we use QR code to pay for everything, that you don't really need to carry a wallet or a credit card or cash anymore. So when she is paying for lunch, when we're having a family banquet with my dad's phone, she just open it with a pattern that she knows on his phone, and then she has access to his bank account. Well, that sounds like very shocking for certain people, like this partner, thinking, well, even if we're married, there's certain information that I don't want to share with you because it's private, it's belonged to me, that there's no need to share with you. Well, for this partner, sharing personal information that with no reservation, with no blank, everything counts and for as long as possible, is a sign of trust. It brings an ease and relaxation in her nervous system, and that it is the default, it's the norm. See, that is the loop, the neural pathway she is used to, and that is being practiced over the years. Well, for this partner, this loop is absolutely new and very shocking. And it's the first time that they have this disillusionment that they have such a big difference in their intimate life that they do not know how to integrate these differences. And you can see this could be a repetitive fight between the two of them. Sharing or not sharing the passkey to your electric devices. That could be your phone, your iPad, your computer, and your social media accounts. So in our nervous system, as we talked about before, when there's too little information or too much information, we can get nervous. When there's not enough information, there's a lot of obscurity, there's ambiguity. Our nervous system is searching for information when we don't have access to it. Sometimes our brain creates stories to tell the other person and tell ourselves what is the information that we do not have. Because our brain does not like question mark, our brain does not like not knowing. It's very hard to tolerate not knowing. But when there's too much information, see, if I open my phone, there's a lot of personal information. I have my Ring app, I have my bank account app, I have the phone key to my car, I have my wallet, and all this information documenting from my weight, my height, my sleep pattern, to my financial information, to my personal emails, professional emails. It's all in here. Do I want to share that with the other person? And if the other person take my phone with this information, can open up, what are they going to do with those information? Personally, I find it's very overwhelming when I have so much information about the other person. So there are two concepts in Chinese I would like to introduce to you. One is called 权利. The li, the character li, is called right, interest. Is the right and interest of certain things. And another term is called 权利. The li means power. It writes differently. So it says the partner who believes that she has a right to her partner's personal information, including the phone passcode, that is a right to her. That's the interest that comes with long-term relationships and marriages. But if the other person is saying, well, when you have access to my personal information, you have more power over me. I'm giving away my autonomy. That 权利 actually is power. It's the second character. So those two characters might be confusing when you read in Chinese. They both sound like 权利, but they write differently. And they have different connotations to it. So when we have too much power over the other person, we have access to a lot of their information. What are we going to do about it? If we abuse our power, we misuse those information to attack the other person, or to steal money from them, or to use the private information to impact the way they consume, the way they buy things. Those are abusing of the power. Do we want to give that power away to our partner to a certain extent? Do we want to know every conversation we have with our friends? And what can cause the consequence of that? They may be reading this information and have a misunderstanding of the conversation, the context, and creates certain emotions and creating certain misunderstandings and more conflicts, and start having fights with us because of our communication with other people. Do we really need that in our lives? Is that really good for our relationships? So how do we share, and for how long do we share? We can look at it from the third perspective, the system perspective, where we define the role of two people in the goal we are trying to achieve and the context of what to share or not share. Let me give you some examples. For example, in my parents' situation, financially they're commingling and their bank accounts are joined. And for them, my money is your money. When they're paying for lunch, my father's phone is connected to the bank account and the WeChat Pay. And my mother doesn't know how to use it, so she used my dad's phone to pay. For them, in that situation, each of their role are financial collaborators. Their finances are linked together. And when they're in that role, The context is paying for lunch for the family banquet. The goal is to get the lunch paid for so we can walk out of there without consequences and to be efficient. That's the criteria. So in that context, that little sharing there of the passcode, it really helps us to get through our goal, to pay for lunch and get out of there so we can continue with our family gathering and our activities, and it's efficient. There's no need to go back and forth teaching, training my mother how to use certain apps and phones, and more time spent there. So in that way, it's very driving towards the goal for our family gathering. And it's also very limited in that time frame how it's shared. Another situation, for example, if this is an infidelity situation where the two partners had a history of infidelity, say one partner has been using online porn, and sometimes abuse it, and that start to impact their relationship. They're cheating with online content and other people over certain platforms. And then their partner and them agreed that temporarily they're going to have access to this partner's online social media account information login. So this partner can check from time to time if their partner has been cheating on them online using those platforms to collect data. If the two of them agree for a period of time, say 3 to 6 months, while they're working on their relationship infidelity recovery, that this partner have access to that information login to gather data, to build trust so they can trust the other partner more, that is a more contained each of their role. The partner's role is in some way a monitor, in Esther Perel's word, vigilante, a monitor of this partner's behavior, online social media use. The context is working in couple therapy to promote trust. And the goal is for them to build trust by sharing information, creates increased transparency. So in that context, you can see it's also driving and helpful for a period of time for them to share the passcode. So those are two examples that's actually driving, that helping them to achieve their goal. So in what situation is not very helpful for them to share contacts, for them to share passcode of their social media? Let's say my parents actually share everything. My mother has access to my father's phone. And sometimes when I talk to my father on his WeChat account, I get my mother's response. And that's confusing to me, that why she's talking through his WeChat account. Well, because she has access to his phone and all the social media accounts. So she knows what I'm talking to my father about. And in that sense, we don't have any privacy. So when this is a whole broad stroke of sharing, everything is shared, that she has access to everything on the phone, including using the other person's social media account to talk to someone else, that creates confusion. That creates inconsistency in our communication, that I don't know who I'm talking to. And it doesn't really help with safety and privacy either. So in that way, that's a downward movement, is what we call restraining. Doesn't promote our communication and increase safety. So that kind of sharing in that context is not very helpful. So if you were to sit down, let's say the beginning of our role play, to put two partner come to me, sit in our Zoom room and trying to negotiate. They brought up this issue. How can two of them create a safe environment for them to have this conversation, to negotiate how much to share, what to share? So a good start is by talking about each of their role. What is their role when they want to share this phone information? Right? Are they in a situation where they're trying to manage the finances of their relationship, their marriage, say paying bills, paying for mortgage? Then they are financial collaborators. Or are they a task project collaboration? For example, if they're sharing a certain Google Sheets or drive and document to collaborate on the project, say home improvement project, and they need a certain information, passcode shared in order to get to certain information. That is also the role each of them have, collaborators. And what is the context? Are you in the condition, in the context where you're collaborating on the financial business management or project management or co-parenting, managing your children's school information to share that passcode? And what is your goal? What you're trying to achieve? By sharing this information, what are you promoting? Are you making your life easier? Are you making things more efficient? Are you trying to cut down processing time? Or are you trying to share information and make it transparent with each other to build trust? What is your goal? What you're trying to achieve? And also, what is the time frame of sharing? So for my private practice, when I need to collaborate with other therapists, say my couple clients, individual therapists, or my core referred clients with a CCRC from the core system, I make my clients sign ROI, release of information. On that form, it lists very specifically what are we sharing, who I'm sharing with, for how long this ROI will expire. So for how long I'll be sharing this information. So that is a very defined, very contained sharing with a purpose. And both of my clients will need to read it and sign it before I initiate the contact with the other parties to start sharing with this containment. So if I don't have that, I imagine my clients will be very anxious because they do not know for how long and what I will be sharing with their therapist or their court staff. And that is a very scary situation that creates a lot of anxiety because they may have a lot of mind reads or negative predictions. So we can define our contacts and our role and goals. And when we communicate, we're trying to contain how much information we're sharing with the other person to create more safety for both people. Now let's come to a standalone meditation. Are you ready? Take a moment to settle in with your body. You can choose the position that's most comfortable for you. Right now, I'm in folded legs, lotus position. So if you're with me, you can feel your sits bone getting heavy and drop into the center of the earth. Right underneath your tailbone, you can allow a grounding cord to drop into the center of the earth. Connect with the place that belongs to you and you only. You can grow this grounding cord and make it as big, as wide as possible, that suits you today. Allow any of your energy that doesn't belong to you right now and serve you in this present time, travel it down through the grounding cord into the center of the earth to recycle. Even when your legs are folded, you can still open your feet to allow the earth energy to find your feet and traveling along your legs all the way to your pelvis, to your core, right underneath below your belly button, where we called dantian. Resting your hands at ease on your lap. Allow your head floating, right resting on top of your neck. And notice the breathing in and breathing out. And have a check-in on your body's energy level and where do you feel more energy in your body and where do you
you feel less. I'm noticing a lot of energy traveling in my leg, my feet. There's some tingling sensations. I'm noticing there's a less energy on my upper back, on my neck and shoulder. And I'm gently wiggling, moving slightly to give it more room for energy to travel to. And notice the air having contact with your skin barrier. That is the physical boundary we have between our internal physical world and the external world. What is the quality of the air feels on your skin? Is that cooling? Is that warming? Do you notice a breeze? What's the humidity like? Is it sticky? Is it dry? And allow that information to be processed and come into concept in your brain. And notice my sound, the tone of my voice and its vibration that come into your eardrum, and how's that information received? Is it pleasant? Is it unpleasant? How's the pitch and the tone and frequency and the speed impacting your nervous system right now? The cool air or the warm air that's touching your skin, the sound of my voice, all of those are just information that our brain registered as a difference to our own physical environment and our nervous system. Some differences that we take in and integrate really well, and others we have reaction to. You can choose how much information and differences you are taking in any given moment. You can allow a little chunk of it at a time. Just like AI they have tokens. We can also group words, sentences, and paragraphs of information and taken in at one sitting. We can slow down the process of taking in information. We can choose what output that we send to the outside world with our own token. How much you're sending out, how much you're sharing with your partner. And when we're sharing, for how long we're sharing, we have choices. Too much differences might create barriers in their boundary, and we may close our boundary temporarily so we can integrate those information, digest them, process them, sometimes eliminate certain things that's not serving for us. We let the earth recycle them for us. And notice your breathing as I'm giving you this information, and how's that impacting your body and your nervous system. And let's Let's do 3 breaths together. When we inhale and exhale, just release and allow your body to settle in. Allow your diaphragm to move and expand and contract. Allow all the diaphragms in your body. We have many diaphragms. To lift and to relax. Our body is doing its own work that is monitored by our brain, and they know exactly what to do. We're taking in breath and exhale and expel air and particles and information as well. We're interacting with our environment constantly, and we're taking in difference in any moment. Our body and our brains are designed to take in differences and integrate them, and to give output. We can always use our breath to shift the pace of monitoring, of digesting, of taking in information and giving out information. When we take a deep breath in, we take in difference. When we exhale out, release, we let go of anything that's not serving us anymore. And our Mother Earth just taking it in and reprocess and giving back to us as a difference that our body can use and integrate. And trusting this process happening while we have some impact on how and the pace of its happening. Now if you want, you can bring your hands together or put it on your heart, and if you like, you can repeat after me. I can choose how much information to share and to whom I'm sharing, for how long, in what context. I can choose taking in information differences, for how long, how much, in what context, at my own pace. And thank you. You can come back when you're ready.
I will see you next week, my friends.